Here we go.
Hello.
This is Gavin and Kim. So I think there's people who enjoy us more so than just me.
Nah.
Why wouldn't they? We're
I
supposed to
think-
be better together, right?
Well, of course, but I think people just enjoy something that's different.
Yeah, this is different. I see our neighbor.
I know, Miss LaVille.
I don't know. She's gonna think, what are they doing?
She might be coming over here.
Well, I have the thought, it'd be neat to have a recording studio, like maybe this is it, and then the neighbors can come over and you have a chat with them. You say, tell me about the home you grew up in, and then that video could just be for them and their family. It doesn't have to be on the internet. It could be on the internet if that's what they want.
Yeah, just have a conversation. I don't know if a lot of people like to be recorded.
Well, what's the reason? I think it would be cool for example, I think about our children and our grandchildren. They may just want to peek and see who was that strange grandfather,
Yeah.
or that grandmother. It's like, okay, we met this old lady with gray hair and wrinkles.
It'd be really
What's your
cool.
name? What's your name gonna be if you get there?
I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
gonna let the kids pick it up.
But they might want to. They might want to get a glimpse at who you are now.
I know,
Right.
it'd been really neat to have video of Nina, because they're always asking, like, why didn't we get to meet Nina? We don't really have very many videos of her.
Well, there's different versions of her. There's the version where she's got a cigarette in her hand,
Yeah.
and there's
Young Nina.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but it'd be neat if we had video. I don't know if I have any videos. I don't think videos were a thing back then. I guess on our phones they weren't.
Well,
There's always a video camera.
you said that your dad bought a video
Yeah,
camera
we had a
and you
video
played
camera.
with it as a child.
Right.
And so when you were a child, your Nina, was she
Nate-
still smoking cigarettes back then?
I don't know. I don't remember that really.
Your parents smoked cigarettes for a little while while you were a kid, and then y'all broke them.
Did your dad?
My dad still smokes cigarettes.
Well, I didn't know if he did it when you were younger.
He always did the dip, the Copenhagen snuff. But you and your sister would get your parents' cigarettes and break them and throw them.
Oh
in the
yeah,
trash.
we would find them and we would throw them in the trash. You can ask him about that, because we learned that cigarette smoking is bad. We do not need to cigarette smoke.
Like got indoctrinated.
Yeah, we did. We sure did. And we're like, we found those and we threw them away.
The dogma you learn in public schools.
Yeah,
Cigarettes are bad. Man, the sun just came out.
it's pretty. I'm glad the sun's out.
I'm a creature of the darkness.
You gonna melt? Oh, there's Taylor.
The cat.
I feel like there is a lot more distractions out here. You know what I mean?
Well, there's geese.
There's so
There's
many
an
noises.
airplane.
There's
the
neighbors. There's cats.
Cats. We
There's
got
the
pollen.
sun. It's
pollen.
pretty out here though.
I hear a cat. Our cat likes to talk. Kind of like me.
What do you want to talk about?
We're doing it. We're talking. If you had a good mic and a good camera, it's like just sitting. Like, could you imagine putting on a stereo sound, virtual reality goggles? Like, there's people in certain places in the world who don't have, right now, listening to this right now, are in a place where they might not be able to experience this. I mean, once the sky has turned dark and we can't see the sun anymore, people might want to look at this and try to feel the sun rays. I'm just saying, there's places on Earth that are like dark year round.
Yeah. And it's different if you live in a city versus country. We're kind of like in a neighborhood, but we're also kind of. Would you consider this country?
Some people would.
Yeah.
We sound country.
No, I don't sound country.
if we weren't on camera right now, I might would take my shirt off, so I don't mess up my tan line.
Oh, are you so worried about your tan line?
I don't like having the t-shirt,
Why?
sunburn, suntan versus white
Why
pale
not?
skin.
What's wrong with it?
I guess it's not very artistic.
That's so funny coming from you because I feel like you don't worry about that kind of stuff. But you worry about your tan line.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, I don't worry about my tan line. You know me, I'm out there in the garden. I got the short tan line. I got the tank top tan line. It's like, sometimes I have the sunglass tan line.
I'm the guy on the beach who rolls his shorts up so the whole leg gets the tan. You get to see the whole leg. I don't want to have all pale skin legs.
Golly. Well,
Sun
that
is
would
good
make
for you.
us go into a different topic.
Sun is good for you.
Well, sun is good for you, but also you could eat certain things to make your skin certain colors. Like you
carrots.
can have a quote unquote suntan year round if you eat the proper food. I don't know about your legs. I know your face would show it.
I wonder what the geese are saying.
I don't know.
I wonder if they're in a fight. They might
They're
be going
aggressive.
after a female. I don't know if these are the geese that have a female for life.
I
don't
think
know.
they get most aggressive. The male gets aggressive when they have a nest. He's the one he's like, it flew at Webb and I one day. A male goose.
I remember
Webb and I one day.
last year going up the river, we found geese that had like babies, and they would like get down low and spread their legs out.
Right.
Or not their legs, their wings.
Yeah.
And you could come up very close to them, and they would be trying to hide the little ones underneath their wings.
Mm-hmm.
There comes one. There comes a little one. Let me pause this. Let me pause it. We had children asking for peeps, and then we had a cat that's wanting attention from the children. Look, she's like sitting next to the door, just waiting for the children to come outside. The cat loves those children.
She wants to play.
She's a kitten.
So, do you want to tell me about the home you grew up in?
I mean, I feel like we have our story too. Like, there's the story of you and I. Like, whenever I quit working for missile defense.
We have lots of stories of you and I because we go back a long time.
Yeah.
There is lots of stories of you and I, but there's segments. So, like, you want to talk about the segment where you want to pursue something different as far as job goes? Colorado and all that?
Kind of. I mean, the reason I'm interested in that story is because I know there are people who are possessed by the spirit of ambition that I have been possessed by.
Okay, this will be fun. So do you remember why we chose to leave Huntsville and go to Colorado? Was it just seeking adventure, seeking something different because we could? I remember you just started working remotely. Remember that?
I think it had something to do with the cannabis plant.
Okay. But also you had just got approved to work remotely, so we had that freedom. Remember?
Well,
You had started that at your job. It was before people were like really working remotely.
yeah, I had asked to be able to work remotely, and I earned trust after like 4 years of doing good work, and they said, yeah, you can work remotely. And so once I could work remotely, then I was like, well, we have freedom.
Well, I just started teaching. I taught that year, and then I quit. She wanted me to come back. Remember that? We're like, nope, we're going to Colorado.
I don't remember a lot of things.
Okay, well, it was when I was working at Morris Elementary as the ESL teacher.
English as second language.
Right, and we
Working
had to
out
make
of the
the
closet.
decision.
You're working out of the closet
Right, with asbestos.
with asbestos before the building got redone. Before you got your cancer.
No, I didn't get cancer. Anyway, so like you kept your job. I quit my job, and we got our I remember like being really excited. We're like, we're gonna do this adventure. We're gonna go travel around Colorado. We're gonna live out there.
Me, you, and our girl.
Zoe.
Our Zoe dog.
Our cat just died. Remember, Moose had just died.
Moose the cat had died.
And we're like, we're gonna go do this. You know, we didn't know if we wanted to move out there. I think that was the thing. Like, we're just like.
I can't help but talk about Moose because I remember having the dream where I saw him get attacked in my dream by coyotes.
Yeah.
And then me, you, and Zoe went back in the woods, and we found his little butthole.
Well, we first found his collar.
Well, yeah. Before that, on our walks, we found the blue collar.
It was a blue collar and
with
some hair.
White hair.
Yeah.
But I was like, we're gonna go find. I was thinking we're gonna go find him, and we
Right.
went back, and sure enough, we found just as remains was just like a little butthole with some.
So weird.
And then I think
we were so sad though. It wasn't even weird to us. We were
sad.
so sad.
And then we scooped that up and put it next to a tree and surrounded it with some rocks and some daffodils. And we got a picture from our old neighbor this year of the daffodils that come back every year
around the circle. It's kind of weird. They come around. They come out back up in a circle.
His little memorial. We had taken a picture.
But
and
he was
put it on
such
the tree.
a jerk cat. Like he was, you know, I love telling Webb stories about Moose because he was like the sweetest cat, but he was like the biggest jerk. You know, I have scars from Moose.
Yeah, mean cat.
So it's almost.
But
yeah.
I just wanted to mention that one. It's just such an interesting story.
You see, that's another story. You could talk. We could have a whole thing about Moose. I was going to write a children's book about Moose because he was just the most unique cat, but.
Yeah, we'd take him on walks. I put him in a backpack and carried him while I was biking. I'd carry him in a backpack.
And he would ride in the dashboard of the car.
He
loved riding in the car.
Up there, like when he was a kitten, he'd get behind the steering wheel.
Right.
Right there where the speedometer is.
He was just so calm and chill in the car.
Chilled.
Yeah. But I told Webb, I was like, as soon as he got those big black pupils, you knew that you needed to get out of the way because he was like attack mode.
It was
he would attack.
You know. Yeah, you know humans when they like do things like the mind altering substances, their pupils go really big like that too. Pretty wild.
So yeah, so Moose died, and then how did we even decide to go to Colorado? I really don't know.
Well, I was connected to Shaman Hawk.
That's right. And I had family, so it's not random that we went to Colorado, right?
That's
so
right.
That's where I'm from.
Shaman Hawk was Kim's uncle.
Right. I was from Colorado, and I have tons of family there. So we were able to stay in my grandpa's place.
Shaman Hawk was your dad's sister's second husband.
Yes. And then we also wanted to travel. We wanted to go camp, and we wanted to, see if that's a place where we wanted to live. And I think we were just seeking something new and different.
I would work 4 10-hour days, Monday through Thursday, and then we'd go off on a Friday and come back on a Sunday to a home base, and we would travel.
We traveled
all over the state of Colorado.
We even we dipped down into New Mexico, didn't we? One time.
Yeah, one time we went we went down in there.
So,
was there a fire that time?
Yeah.
It was a fire.
We had to go into New Mexico because there was forest fire.
We drove for an hour, and it was just, you couldn't see 10, 20 feet in front of you because there's just so much smoke, and it's like it's all in your lungs.
But that was a good time. I enjoyed Colorado. I was able to take gardening classes. Remember at what was it called? The Grow House? The Grow House?
H-A-U-S?
Grow House? I don't know.
Haas.
But yeah, I learned about aquaponics and growing things vertically. And
vertical growing.
And I also took a kids gardening class at one of the urban gardens in downtown Denver.
I remember I went in the greenhouse, and they had like fans, and they would get you to step in the solution to clean the bottom of your feet. They were trying to really prevent disease and pest from getting into their greenhouse.
Right.
And they had tilapia.
They had tilapia.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was really cool.
They kind of fed their local community.
Right. So they welcomed their local community for like cooking classes and gardening classes, and they were able to. We bought CSA. We had a CSA.
Was that Saudi Aurora?
No, it was actually in Denver.
In Denver.
Yeah, I remember we drove. I had to drive like an hour to get there.
I got to play guitar for a family friend in their wedding when they came to Florida for their wedding from Colorado, and the groom, he referred to Aurora, Colorado as Saudi Aurora.
Because it was just way out there.
But that's where we were. That's where our home base was
we're
in Saudi Aurora.
Well, in Aurora. Yeah. So funny. Anyway. So, and then we had a CSA program from the Grow House.
Yeah. We stayed there for about 3 months.
3 months, yep.
They kicked us out of your grandparents, your grandfather's house, because you're supposed to be younger than 55 years old.
Right. But we weren't causing any nuisance though. But it's still rules.
We looked a little young.
I get it. Yeah. And
rules are rules, and some people.
And who knows? Who knows what the family thought about us living in Grandpa's place? But you know.
Who knows?
Who knows? And I got to visit Grandpa. That was the last time I saw Grandpa Bernie. I got to go to his nursing home, and I got to bring him strawberry milkshakes and meet his friends at his table, and that was a good experience. And I was able to hear that he knew that his mind wasn't there all the way. He was, told me he couldn't. I brought him a cherry tree painting because they had cherry trees at 4950. He's like, oh, I remember the cherry trees at 4950, but he didn't know who I was, and he just was like, I know my mind's not there anymore, So it was good to see Grandpa Bernie.
I remember he had recorded so many tapes. So we have a kindred spirit, me and Grandpa Bernie.
Right.
And he had boxes. He had hundreds of just audio cassettes because he did hypnosis. He's a chiropractor, and he would do the kind of hypnotherapy, and he was a pioneer in this, and he'd help people who had smoking addictions and things like that.
Yep.
He's a very interesting. His story is very interesting. A very wild man.
Right.
But that's the way a lot of people who they've like caught onto a genius or something. They look a little wild. They look a little crazy.
Yeah.
But we had kindred spirit. I remember being able to talk to Grandpa Bernie, and it was like I would crack through sometimes with him, and he didn't necessarily know who I was and remember me, but we'd have good conversations.
Yeah, he enjoyed you. And I just had this thought that you talk about he was ahead of his time. Like, he was the first person to do an Airbnb. You know what I'm talking about?
In the basement?
In the basement of their home. And people thought he was crazy, but now people do that now. You know what I mean? It's more common. People rent out their rooms or rent out their space that they are not using. He was doing Airbnb. I just thought of that. I'm going to have to tell Dad that.
the pioneers don't always get credit.
No, they don't. But he was the first Airbnb host. 4950 South Holly Street.
It's cool because you got to see Grandpa Bernie before he died. That was the last time. And I got to go see Shaman Hawk before he died.
Well, you saw him in the hospital, but that was the last time that you really hung out. Yeah. Well, actually, I think, didn't you see him when we went back one Christmas?
I'm just saying, seeing him in the hospital was very coincidental.
I know, but we went back one New Year's, I think we got to see. Well, anyway, yeah, that was like the last time that you really got to hang out.
I had a dream of going across the country, and then it ended up, we drove 18 and a half hours straight.
Well, that's a different story.
No, that was the same trip where I saw Shaman Hawk before he died.
Oh, you're not talking about
I'm talking about later in life.
Okay, yeah, that was a different story.
Different snapshot in time. Yes.
Anywho, we're staying in the retirement community and traveling and camping out of our truck, out of the back of our truck.
Yeah.
And we whitewater rafting and hiking and fishing.
We did one whitewater raft.
And
that was a good.
Camping a lot, basically just trying to find camp spots.
It was summer, right? It wasn't winter.
Because the water still there is really cold, and it gets cold at night.
Wildflowers, they were pretty.
Wildflowers and waterfalls and tubing trips and.
We belong among the wildflowers.
So anyway, I think it was like, I don't know, we were able to do that because you were still working, and we had paid off all of our debts. Like, we had paid off our car, we had a big nest egg, don't you remember?
Thank you, taxpayers. Taxpayers paying for our
But do you remember that's when we kind of got serious too? I remember we paid, like, our last payment on our truck was in Colorado. We're like done with the truck, and that's like all of our payments. Like we were done with debt, student loans, and everything.
I learned something about the way the truck worked while we were out there.
Yeah, we did that.
That's my brain, like the engineering mind, the things mind. Stuff breaks. How do you fix it? All that stuff.
But I feel like Colorado was kind of a turning point for us. Like we were like before that, we were just young couple saying yes to everything people asked us to do. You know, traveling and exploring and having fun. And then like it seemed like after Colorado, we got a little bit like more serious about life. Would you say?
That's when I tried to start the business.
Right. So we were just kind of like, you know, I was teaching and you were working at the missile defense and.
I caught I think what it was is I brought the cannabis plant back from Colorado. In the cannabis plant, I got into a ritual of like waking up at 3 a.m. and taking a hit, doing my prayer, and just being open for spirit, you know. Mm-hmm. And that's where I learned to notice the good spirits, the Holy Spirit. Was using the gateway drug.
Yeah, so
I made use of it. I like calling it the gateway drug. It was a gateway to the spirit realm.
But so, like, what made us leave though? So, like, we had a great experience, but then the older people were like, "Hey,
we got kicked out because we were too young."
And honestly, I don't even think the family in Colorado, really liked us being in Grandpa's place. And then so we had the option. So we said we had the thought that maybe we could go. Are you
sure you want to stand by that statement?
I don't know.
Your family might listen to this. Are you sure you want to stand by that statement?
I'm not sure. It was kind of weird. You know, it was a little awkward. They were trying to get it ready to sell, and so we had to be really careful with the carpet and all this stuff, you know. Well, so it was a little weird.
I mean, the thing is with property that is kind of common, there's this phrase called the tragedy of the commons. This common property, and there's a bunch of siblings, and the siblings have children. Yeah, there can be a tension when trying to deal with it, but, you know, I don't think... Yeah, nobody confronted us explicitly.
Not really. But we had the option. So I remember, this is how I remember it. It's like, well, we got everything packed up. It's like, well, we could head back to back to Huntsville, or we can try to go rent a place like in Ouray or, you know, Crested Butte or something like that. And we're like, we kind of missed the South. Like, we missed it.
I remember that.
We had a feeling like we kind of miss...
There's a diversity of life.
Wide open spaces. And
like we both went
big bodies of water. But go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you.
Well, I just remember we went to a public school, you know, where there's just a whole bunch of black people. And we got to know a bunch of black people. There was a diversity of people. And then we're surrounded by a diversity of life. Like, it's the rainforest. Like, just so much life and diversity. And then you go to Colorado, and then you've got these kind of liberal types, and there's no black people there in Colorado.
Yes, there are.
There's 1 in 100.
So weird.
There was nobody. There was no black people there.
Well, maybe not.
And they love just talking about how, like, the perception of the racism in Alabama
that's true.
among the people who live in a place where there's no black people. It's like, what the hell,
I don't like to get controversial here.
I'm gonna call out the white people who don't live with black people who want to accuse people in Alabama of being racist.
That's true.
That's bullshit.
I'm calling fired up.
But anyways, I wanted to get back home where there was a diversity.
We missed it. We missed the lake. We missed
just life,
nature, and not so many regulations. Like Colorado, like you go camping and you can't have your dog off a leash, and and everybody's fishing. There's like 20 people fishing on the same river, and you catch like little baby. I remember that one time this guy was so excited. He had caught a trout, 6-inch long trout. He was so excited. We're like, man, that's the bait we use to like catch what we want to catch. You know what I mean?
That's not a trophy. That's a bait.
That's a bait fish. And it was just so regulated. There's so many rules, and we missed Alabama. Sweet home, Alabama. Right.
I wanted to get back to where there was a bunch, I remember seeing the trees, and there was like 3 species of trees. Mm-hmm. It's like it's like a jungle. We have dozens at least We have more wildlife in Alabama than every other state in the United States.
Right.
Maybe Florida's. I don't know. I think Alabama's like
I
special.
think Alabama has the most diverse species of fish.
It's got the most waterways.
Right.
We got water.
We're just bragging, but hey, don't come to Alabama. It's not that great. Anyway, so we get back.
I got the cannabis plant. I'm communing with the ally, with
we're,
the cannabis
we're
ally.
we're like kind of going back and forth with the idea of like, because you were just not really happy at your job, and you wanted to do something differently.
I like following rules too. Like the rules when you work for the Defense Department is don't do the cannabis, and then I've had this opportunity to pursue a more meaningful career, like as a side hustle.
Yeah.
And it's like I just wasn't feeling good about doing cannabis and doing the side hustle. Like I was like, every time I'm doing the side hustle, it's like, well, what about the taxpayer? I felt like I'm stealing from them. You know?
You didn't feel good.
I was like,
about
I did not feel good about
But
it.
in hindsight, you said you wish you maybe had some more security though before you quit. But it's what happened, so it's maybe that was meant to be. It's a big part of the story. I mean, we're kind of like Colorado's like the leading up to like the good part of the story.
I had to go get the plant. The guy's Herb, Mr. Herb. I had to go get Mr. Herb from Colorado. It was pretty cool going into having been someone who had to go into like interactions with kind of sketchy people to being able in Colorado. You know, it was less sketchy. It still wasn't like it was that time when we went and met Shaman Hawk, where you could just go to a dispensary.
Yeah.
But because it wasn't legal for recreation at the time when we went that first time.
Right.
And so I'd say cannabis had a big part in it seemed like faith, but it might look like naivety as well.
Right. Well, I think we were just kind of searching for something more. Like,
my coworker, when I described it to him, he basically said it sounded like a mental disorder. Like, it's like, people like you probably should not be doing cannabis, Gavin. Schizophrenia or something.
Maybe.
It's like, if you hear things and see things and have visions, it sounds like schizophrenia, and you probably should avoid the cannabis plant.
I mean,
I'm like, don't you know me? Don't you know my superpowers by now? He knew my superpowers, like when we worked together.
I think you had me to kind of keep you grounded.
Yeah.
I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but like, I think you had me. But anyway, we get back, and then I'm trying to figure out what I want to do because I had just quit my job back in, May, and now it's September. We come back like at the beginning of September. And so, and then when did you quit your job? Right around that time.
I don't know. I could figure it out.
Anyways, right around that time. So I was thinking, well, what am I going to do? And
2014.
So there was, you don't have to talk about what you did. Do you want to talk about the skills you learned were important?
Yeah.
Maybe not so much like the services you were providing for people, but the skills you learned, I think, were very important for you to get your next step.
It's for me, it seemed like going to college and putting in the amount of effort that I should have put in when I went to college.
Right.
I put in a lot of effort sometimes working like 16 hours, 17 hours straight.
Yeah. And we started a garden. That was the first year we had a garden at our house. I had learned all the gardening stuff in Colorado, and your brother came and helped build grow boxes, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And we had our first front yard garden. My whole thing was grow food, not lawns. You remember that? Grow food, not lawns. And so we had like food in our front yard.
We wanted to do the SOS to the world, the seed of salvation.
Well, that was when we first got married.
That was when we first got married.
But it's always been there, right?
It's still there. We still like
right.
being like a seed, and spreading good seed.
So we started our first garden. Gavin quit his job. You were learning new skills, and making a little bit of money. Oh wait, no. I'm wrong. We did start a garden, but you didn't quit your job until I started my teaching job.
I mean, I don't know the details.
I don't either.
I mean, the cannabis messes with your memory.
Well, it's a long time ago.
What I'm saying is, like, I was in a fog. Like, I'm just sitting there doing God's will in my mind. You know, I'm doing it. I'm like, we're about to build an empire.
So looking back, do you think it was God's will? Or do you think it was like, you were kind of, we took a leap of faith and did what we did, knowing that there was going to be less security, you know, maybe more opportunity.
I mean, that's still in me. The willingness to go take a leap of faith is still in me.
I know it is, but I'm more cautious, aren't I?
Way more cautious.
Well, now we have 3 kids and that kind of thing. There she is.
Oh, let me pause it. I got the kiddos. Unpause. Was it God's will?
Yeah, I mean, now looking back, and since you've you know accepted Jesus as your King and are now a Christian, do you look back on that? What's your reflection on that time where you thought that you may have been doing God's will?
I think my relationship with God was better than it had ever been, and my relationship with the Holy Spirit was better than it had ever been. But my relationship with Jesus was like, I was trying to be better than Jesus. I definitely was trying to. I was like intentionally saying, I got this, Jesus. I said, Jesus, you can help me if you want to, but I got this. Right?
Yeah.
I baptized myself and said, which is an important point. Someone didn't baptize me. Like, I thought I was like super special. I still wrestle with it. And then I said, Jesus, I invite you to help me if you will. That's basically it.
On your 30th birthday.
On my 30th birthday, because the year 30, so that was December 21st, 2014.
Yeah.
Right down the street.
Right down the river.
Right down the river in the fresh living water. It was cold.
But at that time in our life, though, felt very, like, harmonious.
And we met the strange guy right after it.
Like, I'm just saying, like, the actual feeling felt great. Like, we felt like we were doing what we were supposed to be doing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there were so many people that came into our life and things that happened that were just so in sync. It just felt like maybe this was the path to the next step of our life.
But I was naive, because you start into seeing, like, when you get into that willingness to be of service to all, people can see that and then attempt to enter into a relationship where they will
take advantage.
I was going to let you say it.
I'll say it.
But, and I don't even know if it has to be intentional, but you become someone that people can take advantage of when you are like that.
Right.
And so,
once again, that's where I come in.
This is where Kim's just like, hold up now. Hold up. This is when the family starts saying, hold up, Gavin. You're valuable.
Right.
Your time is valuable.
And there was a lot of things that lined up. So you didn't actually quit your job, I don't think, until like 2014.
It was 2014.
After you like baptized yourself at the river, and I had a job. I remember I got a job teaching at Montesano.
But that would have been the fall of 2014?
No, I got hired in December, and then I started in January. And so these
are the details.
I remember all these details because I was like the financial person too, because I was like, how are we going to make this work? Well, we had a huge nest egg saved up.
We
didn't have any payments besides our house.
Try to spend as little money as possible.
Right, and it was just us two and Zoe, and Zoe's our dog.
I think we were burning through our nest egg a little bit.
Not yet. Once you quit your job, you know, I had a small teacher salary.
It's a good point, though, that we had never experienced any kind of, like, stress.
Money stress at all.
Like, we didn't have hardly any stress.
Right, that's what I was saying. Like, leading up to this, we were just, like, saying yes to everybody who invited us to go do stuff.
I'm saying you and our relationship, we never had, like, we didn't have stress. We were just, like, woohoo.
We were just, like disc golfing and hiking.
If you've seen Forrest Gump, Lieutenant Dan just riding that ship up on the mast.
We didn't have like any worries or stresses, or you know what I mean. Like we didn't have it.
But then we started experiencing some financial stress.
So I think this was very important though. So then I get a teaching job. You quit your job, but you're making a little bit of money, right? With
Yeah.
the side hustle.
Yeah.
And so we're on like a very, like what we were used to. Now it's like a very, it's a doable budget, but it's a very tight budget. How I explain it is that when our bills came around, we basically paid out all the money we had, and we had maybe just a little bit to buy groceries and a little bit of like just extra money. But it was very tight. I remember going to the grocery store and my budget was $50 a week. You can't buy anything nowadays with $50.
Pretty soon a gallon of milk's going to cost $50.
I know. It was crazy. And I would go in with my calculator and I would be like, oh man, I can't get that this week. And it's like we were living on, what were we even eating? Spaghetti and like, I don't even know.
I ate whatever you fed me.
I don't remember what we were eating, but we weren't eating much. Let me just put it that way. So anyway, like we never were really ever on a budget, ever. In our whole entire marriage, were we? Until this time. Because we had to be on a budget.
I mean, we were interested in paying off the car debt.
That's true. We paid off our student loan, car debt,
Yeah,
stuff.
it felt good when you paid off the student loan and the car debt.
But we never really had a budget. Like, we never wrote down, oh, we can only go out to eat this many times or go, spend this on clothes or whatever it was. So this is the first time in our marriage that we actually had a budget. And it was a very tight budget.
You were keeping the ship afloat.
I wouldn't say it's all me. You were, you were a big part of... I believed in you. I did. I supported you. I believed in you. I did. Why else would I,
Past tense, people. Past tense.
No, I'm talking. I was talking in that, back in the, I was talking in the past. At that time, I believed in what you wanted to do, and I supported you. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah.
I supported you, and with my little teeny teacher salary, we made it work.
I wish it had worked.
And our nest egg we saved up, and
I wish it had worked.
No, don't downplay yourself because you learned a lot of skills that you would have not have learned staying at missile defense.
I guess the goal, like the high in the sky goal, did not play out. And then I say I wish it had worked, but that might not have been good for me either.
Well, what if it did work?
I mean, it might not have been
That's exactly
good.
how it needed to work.
Right. That's my point. As I was trying to correct myself. There's a part of me that goes back to that dream, and it's like, ooh, what a good dream. I wish it had worked. And that's where I was, so I was there. But from here, in this moment in time, it's like, maybe not. Maybe it wouldn't have been. Maybe it would have been a terrible thing if it had worked out.
Right. So I think everything really.
I mean, who really wants to be Elon Musk? Like, I wanted to be greater than Elon Musk and greater than Jesus and greater, but who? And if you were to really be Elon Musk, would you want that life? I think that's a hell no. Like, who wants to do that?
Well, I mean, his relationship life, I wouldn't want that for us.
What about the stress? What about all the stress of
Yeah,
managing all these businesses, working? Like, I worked. I know what it's like to work 16, 17, 18 hours a day, but then doing that all the time. And
Yeah.
Why? Who wants to do that all the time?
Yeah. So.
I got a taste of what it's like, but I failed. I did not succeed where he.
So
where
did we do? I mean, I taught that year, and you pretty much did your thing for a year.
Well.
Right, about 3/4 of a year.
I don't know, because I kept trying to build I wanted to build the next thing. It was basically October of 2015 when I stopped. Right?
But that's true. So we're talking 2014. So yeah, it was over a year that you did your thing, right? There's some fish jumping back there. Anyway, I remember you coming to me saying, I want to have a baby. Remember this? Or is that... it's hard to know. I know I was pregnant when I was teaching.
Basically, I mean, I think soon after I baptized myself.
And you quit your job.
Yeah, soon
then
after.
You're like, I want a baby.
Let's make a boy.
Let's make a baby. I was like, what?
Make one.
That's a weird feeling to say, okay, like you've never been pregnant, you don't have a child, like all these new things. It's like, okay, let's do it. Right?
And then from there
and
on.
then we did it.
And then I didn't feel so good about that lifestyle.
I think it surprised us because like we're like, okay, we'll try to have a baby, right? And then we got pregnant right away. And so that was kind of like, I remember your dad said, because he knew we were pregnant and he knew you didn't have like a job that you had prior. You were doing your side hustle, learning new skills. And he's like, son, you better be able to afford some milk and bread to put on that table. Do you remember when he said that?
I don't remember anything.
I do. And I don't know, we were making it work. I mean, I don't remember having a lot of stress, you know? Even teaching and being on a little budget.
You were really into the nesting. Like, you were really into taking care of your body.
I was. I did all the research.
Like, we cut alcohol out of our lives. It was soon.
It was cheaper not to drink, right? We didn't have to spend that in our budget.
Well, you were taking care of your body. And
I was,
like,
of course.
well, I'm going to do this with Kim. So we stopped drinking alcohol.
We had our garden. I remember, like, pulling broccoli and tons of tomatoes, and I was canning a lot, you know what I mean? We were kind of living that. I was kind of living that crunchy life, if you want to say it that way. I don't know. And
yeah, we used reusable diapers.
Reusable wipes, breastfeeding, you know, trying to make as many meals at home. We didn't go out to eat. I remember that one time we went out to eat. Remember? We were on such a tight... No, do you remember this time? During this time, we were on such a tight budget. But for some reason, I was like, Gavin, I just really want to go out to eat. I don't feel like cooking. I was really pregnant. Do you not remember this?
Tell us.
And so we go to the restaurant. And, hey, Clover.
I do want to say one thing.
Okay.
So, I think deciding to have a baby for me was kind of a giving up on the dream of wanting to be the king and the god and the empire, because I had always said that raising children and being a good parent is the most important thing that most people do in their life. And what I meant when I said that was, I'm better than most people.
Let's have a baby.
And then so I said, let's have a baby. It was kind of a retreat into, hey, I might need to be a little more humble about who I am and what I can do. And so maybe I'm going to be able to be a good parent. So I wanted to put that out there. But you were on this part where you wanted to go out to eat.
Well, because we never did. And it may have been my birthday or some kind of thing. And I was really pregnant. No, so it wasn't my birthday, but I was really pregnant. And I remember, like, this was not a very regular occurrence when we were out to eat. So I really just wanted to enjoy it. And I remember she brought my entree before my salad. Do you remember this?
You cried.
And she put it down on the table. And I was like, I was just wanting this really nice dinner. And I started crying. And Gavin was like, Kim, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with me. So I don't buy into all the pregnancy, like the stereotypes of pregnant women, but I was such a stereotype that day because I was crying. I had all these hormones. I just wanted this dinner to go really nice. I had to go remove myself from the table and cry in the bathroom for a little bit and compose myself and knew that it was okay that I ate my entree before I ate my salad. You remember that now, don't you?
Yeah, it was. I remember the restaurant. I remember where we were. Yes.
But it's kind of a good realization. Like, you take things for granted. So if you go out to eat all the time, it's not as special, But this was very special because we were on such a tight budget, and it was like a very special. Oh, so silly.
That's
Anyway,
great. That's a great story.
So
That's a great story.
we're pregnant. I have.
Imagine
our
what it's like
first-
for me. I'm just with this kind of pregnant, strange creature. He's crying.
I know.
I'm just like, what am I supposed to do?
I
I'm
also-
not good with feelings.
I also remember, I always tell. I think I told my mom this the other day. I was like, I know, because you don't care about like what you wear or how you look. Really, you just kind of like.
Except for my tan line.
But I told my mom this other day. I was like, if Gavin tells me, like that I need to go change something or like do something, I always believe you, because there was one time when I was really, really, really pregnant, and nothing really fit. So and we were going out to do something. And all that really fit, that was really comfortable, and I didn't care at this point. It was just like some black pants and this little shirt, but my belly was kind of poking out at the bottom. And you said, Kim, are you going to wear that? And I said, what's wrong with this? I was like, okay. And then I said, well, golly, if Gavin's telling me I need to go change, like, I need to go change. Because I must look pretty unappealing right now. Do you remember that?
I remember what
That's
it looked
the only
like.
time you've ever told me anything like that.
The old beach ball was hanging out the
It
bottom.
was hanging out. That skin that was all tight down there is hanging out.
The beach ball.
And I didn't even know it was hanging out, probably. I was just that big.
Yeah.
And so you said, and so I know that when Gavin tells me anything like that, because he, you don't ever say anything like that. I was like, I probably need to pay attention.
Well, I hope I was just looking out for you.
I
It's
think
like,
you were.
Are you sure you want to go out like that?
This is the only time you've ever told me that. That was funny. So anyway, we welcome her.
Well, when the baby.
So now I'm pregnant.
But when the baby's starting to get there, I'm realizing it's like I need something a little bit more reliable and secure.
We had to make the choice too. Like, was I going to continue to work,
Well, the thing
or was I going to stay home?
it's so hard for me to like break up. And so with my potential business partners, I offered them a contract where I said, if you'll agree to this contract, I'll keep working with you. And they couldn't accept it.
Oh, that's right.
Because they said it was a bad business deal. And so then I started hunting for a job, and we were willing to go anywhere in the country. I looked for jobs in Seattle, Washington, working with Amazon, and I ended up getting a job.
Did you fly out too?
Not that time. They didn't like me.
But you applied everywhere. We were willing to go anywhere. Like, we weren't stuck.
I was so new to full stack software development that
You kind of had to start lower.
I wasn't nearly as good as what the people they were looking for. And
But then, so that was kind of harmonious, right? The job that we looked all over the country.
yeah,
And you end up tell it. That's like part of the story.
so I think Shaman Hawk had died by then, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because what was special was that one of the special things was that
Oh yeah.
our son was born on Shaman Hawk's birthday,
Right.
and the place I ended up working was called Image Hawk, and it was like 200 yards, 200 meters.
You could walk there
It
very
was like
comfortably.
It was an easy
It was in our
walk.
neighborhood, basically.
It was basically in our neighborhood. So even though I was trying to get a job in Seattle, Washington, I ended up getting a job with this place that's got an interesting name. It's right down the street. And then our son was born.
Like a month after you got the job, right?
Right. And he was born on... Your aunt basically said, I knew he was going to be born on... Even though his due date wasn't that day.
After everything that had happened, it was like pretty...
So
What'd you call it?
I don't know. Maybe it was the graduation day. It was the graduation ceremony from one segment of life. It's like, all right, here's your next phase.
Yep.
Here's your next stage in life. And I guess the reason I wanted to tell that story is because it can be stressful. It's very strange to, when your spouse supports you in a risky move and you become fully committed, and then you kind of fail in some regards, and not in all regards. And so it's a situation where maybe there was a lot of money spent, money lost, maybe it was difficult, challenging for the marriage, and quite an adventure or a little roller coaster ride. And I don't regret it.
I don't regret it at all. I look at that time as like a growth year or two, a growth year and a half.
This is where I present. It's like, can we go on another adventure?
Right.
Like, that was an adventure. Is there a next adventure? You know, and there's a timer going
That's
on.
for my sourdough.
Do we need to turn it off?
No, it's just. I mean, they'll turn it off in there.
They will. Okay.
Yeah, nothing's baking. It's just rising.
Okay.
Fermenting.
The sourdough.
The sourdough. I got a lot to bake.
So I feel like I need to be as supportive for Kim as she was for me then.
You have been though.
And
absolutely. Like I feel like I was able to stay. I still am staying home with the kids. I've been able to stay home with the kids. Webster's now 8, and Beckett's 3. So we've had 3 kids.
About to be 4.
And I'm able to stay home and homeschool, and so no, you've always supported me, always. I feel like I need to now support you in your next mission. Or maybe it's our mission. It's always our mission.
You're tearing up.
I know, it makes me tear up.
She's tearing up. Ooh, I think we gotta enjoy life though. That's something new. This idea of enjoying life. Because I've been so serious.
I always try. I mean, I know that you're like more the serious one in the relationship. I'm more of like the free spirit. Is that how you would describe me?
That's what Miss Kathy called you, right?
So, I mean, I know when you talk Dave Ramsey, they talk about the nerd and the free spirit. So I feel like you kind of fall in the nerd category, and I kind of fall in the free spirit category.
We just saw a video last night.
It was so good. I was just thinking of that. My milkshake. You're like driving real serious, like, come on. I probably got earbuds in, you know? And here I am, dancing. That's so us, too. Anyway. But
I also am the one who's willing to go just step out into the unknown.
Right.
Like,
you are.
I grew up wading rivers where you stepped out into the unknown, and I got very good at busting my knees and avoiding busting my knees, getting low, having balance, maneuvering through the stepping out into the darkness, and doing that just more than any other person. Like, very few people have done that. Doing so much of that. And I have a comfort in stepping out into the unknown.
You do,
that
and
most
I feel,
people don't have.
Well, I feel like that's even though I'm the free spirit, I'm a little bit more cautious, and I feel in our relationships since the beginning, though, I feel like you have always been the one that's willing to do the thing that other people aren't willing to do. So therefore, our life has been a lot of we've had a lot of interesting moments, travels, and conversations, and things we've done that and that's because of you, probably. You're willing to do the thing that other people aren't willing to do. So that means like allowing me to stay home, or any kind of garden adventure I want you to help me with, or you support all that.
Miss Palmer, may I have a chance?
Okay, go ahead.
I made a video recently with it was a look back at 2014.
Okay.
When I was at your parents' house out there in the morning, and I was basically making a video for people that I worked with in the Defense Department, and one thing I said was the reason I felt comfortable going out into the unknown was because there was family, and we still have family, and it's like we have so many people in our lives who would take us in and help us if we ever needed help. And so that is the insurance. I remember taking that word insurance. It's like, man, family and connections to family is a kind of insurance that's really nice. I guess each family member has a certain willingness to provide help. But someone could take you in for a month, for 4 weeks, for 8 weeks. I feel like if we went out and just spent everything we have and lost everything we have, we could hop in with a family member, and within 2 months we'd be set. You know what I mean? We'd be back
when
into.
When you said that, my eyebrows went, what?
Like, that doesn't scare me at all. Like that we would go just spend everything we've acquired
Oh my gosh.
and risk it all, like in a giant gamble, and then if you lost it,
Well,
it's like, man, we've got loving family members who
You
would.
sound so like there's not a plan. Like if we were to do that, there would have to be like a solid plan.
Here goes, people.
I know.
This
There'd have
is the
to be
difference
some.
between us.
Well, what are you gonna do? Just go put it all on blackjack in Vegas? Like, what are you gonna do? Put it all on red?
When I grew up wading the river, it's like I didn't have a plan for. I just knew how to handle the situation at every moment, so that I didn't drown and I didn't bust my knees up, didn't get bit by a water moccasin, and didn't smash my head on a rock, and I didn't like. So it's good to know about the hazards that you can encounter. So it might be good if we went. And first thing we did is we went out and learned how to use guns, and we carried guns with us, personal defense. Maybe we learned jiu-jitsu, and we learned how to use a pistol. And then maybe when we do that, we say, we don't like pistols. We don't like guns. Maybe we don't go into that area where we feel like we probably should have a pistol.
Yeah.
And I did that when I was wading the river. It's like, that looks a little snaky. I don't really want to have to deal with a snake, And if there's this rock that looks like it's got mud on it, and if I step on it, I'm going to slip and bust my head open. Well, maybe, and then do I wear a life jacket? Do I have some protection? Do you have a GPS satellite phone?
Isn't that kind of like having a plan?
It's not a plan. It's like a list.
It's
a list of equipment. You equip yourself with the skills and the tools.
You're using your common sense.
But where you end up.
Yeah, I get,
Like,
what is our next adventure,
where's
Palmer?
the destination?
What's our next adventure, Palmer? I think we're doing it.
I want to
I
do.
think every day you can do an adventure, and we're doing it.
Well, I like that we have fruit trees.
And our garden.
You like the garden.
You like the garden.
I like helping you with your garden. And I like the smoothies you make me and the juices you make me. Sometimes you ask me to help do it.
Sourdough.
I like eating the sourdough.
We got some ideas for our next adventure. I got some in my head brewing, and
I like helping the neighbor when the neighbor asks me a technical question and they have technical problems. I like doing that.
You had an idea this morning that you wanted to make smoothies for everybody and give them away to kids for free.
Yes.
But are you thinking like adventure with our family, like kind of like Colorado adventure, the next voyage, the next walkabout?
I think it would be cool to. I think it would be cool to. I think the goal would be a community. Where people who are who have common interests collaborate, cooperate. And form a kind of economy, a little local economy within a community. I want to participate in a local economy, local community.
We may do farmers markets. That might be a step in that direction.
I think that's smart.
The kids seem excited to like sell their cookies, and we could sell sourdough, and I don't think we'll make enough fruits and veggies to do that, but you could just focus on the sourdough.
These plans are so much different than the plans I had in 2014. The difference is that I wanted to be like the one that would be treated like the wisest of all. And now it's more like maybe we just try to do something where we lead by example such that anyone and everyone could do it too.
Yeah, you just show a way that the common person can do these types of things. You don't have to have all the.
Here's the one.
What?
Tiny homes. Listen, look at her. She does not like a tiny home.
But tiny homes are expensive.
No, they make
and they're tiny.
You've got the vision would be that me and you would have us a little home. Maybe it costs $4,000 or $5,000.
No, they don't. They cost way more than that.
You don't know what you're talking about.
You know what? How about
But every kid would have their
You
own little
build
tiny
me
home.
a tiny home greenhouse.
Is there a bed? Doesn't a home have some kind of place to sleep?
You're right. I'm just trying to get you to build me a greenhouse.
I like the greenhouse idea too.
I got
think
plans
it would
for
be
it.
good.
I got plans for it. But you think we should end this video here?
Yep.
Because we could ramble all day.
And I need to go jogging.
Jogging, and I got some garden stuff.
We thought about doing a recording while walking the other day. You invited me to do that.
I know I did. You said no.
Well, I've done that before, and the audio quality is just a little hard to get
I guess
right.
because you're breathing heavily.
I don't even know if the audio quality is going to be good here. But we're trying it out. You know?
Yeah.
We're experimenting.
All right. I love you.
I remember the first time I held your hand.
Don't get weird. Love you, Gavin.
I love you.
Bye, corner.
Bye-bye, internet.